How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So today we have Rene Flores running for county attorney, highly qualified, highly skilled, all those great things that you need in a great candidate. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great. Thank you for having me on here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fantastic. It's good. I can actually hear myself too, but it's okay. Yeah. So what brings you back to public office? I know you've been in the private sector for a little bit, kind of took a break from the public and then came back into it. What's that about?
Well, when I was in law school, like around my third year,
Sure.
I had this existential epiphany. And that's a fancy way of saying I was thinking about my future.
Sure. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, what my life meant. And I kind of, I didn't write them down, but I thought to my mind, I have three goals when I get out of here. Because, when you think about it, it's kind of the end of law school, and the end of law school is like, okay, it's the beginning of the rest of your life. No more school, no more screwing around.
Sure.
You need to like make something of your life,
Sure.
And so the three things I wanted to do was first is have my own private law practice, which I've had for many years.
Sure.
Number two, write a book, which I've been working on.
Nice.
But not completed yet. And number three, run and win an office, because I want to serve my community, because that's the way I was raised. My parents immigrated from Mexico, and like many immigrants, they're very, they're very involved. They're very interested in politics. My dad was a union man ever since he lived in Mexico, was
Sure.
always interested in what's going on politically. He was a yellow dog Democrat, but always interested. And we always had our dinner conversations were not the usual type. They're always about politics.
Sure.
So, I was raised that way. And because I was raised to care about your society and where you live. And when I went to college, I was very much ingrained in me. Actually, as you know, I went to Princeton University.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I read your whole schooling. And we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. I mean,
But I just throw that out there, not just to throw it out there, but because Princeton's motto is actually in the nation's service, believe it or not. So they pride themselves on basically educating people so they can serve your communities and their nation. And so that's always been something that I've wanted to do. And I have, as you're aware, I've had a couple of public positions. I was chief of litigation for the county attorney. I'm the only one running that's got that experience at the county attorney. And I was also a federal public defender. But I have supported and been involved heavily in several campaigns, and we can talk about those if you want. But
sure.
I've always I've also been involved. I mean, I led the effort to build the new high school in West Oso.
Yep.
I led the studying of that issue, and also to pass the bond election. And I've always tried to be involved some way or another.
Yeah, definitely. Well, tell us a little about that book that you're writing. I can kind of guess what the topic is, but what is that? What are you?
I'd rather not talk about it. I'm sorry. I should have prefaced it, because I'm still rewriting it. It's kind of, and it's probably, it's something we don't want to get into at this point, but yeah. And usually I preface it by saying it's something I don't really want to get into right now.
Sure.
Because, I'm still working on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm with you there. Well, tell us a little about, you kind of went into it a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about the background and schooling and the works. I know you've done those jobs. Kind of tell us a little bit more in detail about that.
Well, I grew up here in Corpus Christi on the west side in Molina. I know you're new to town, but it's kind of a famous neighborhood here.
Yeah.
Some people would say infamous, but it's good people. It's good people. In fact, I moved back there to take care of my mom.
Sure.
And what I love about the neighborhood, and just short briefly, is that I know my neighbors, and they're all friendly, and we say hi, and I love that. But anyway, I grew up there. I went K through 12. By the way, where Selena grew up, also down the street from me.
Yeah.
And then I went on to Princeton University. I got a scholarship, and after 4 years there, I got my degree, Bachelor of Arts. It was something very practical, like history. It was history.
Sure.
So after that, I worked in politics for a couple of years. I worked for Congressman Ortiz, and I worked in the state legislature. And then I went to law school at UC Berkeley, And I graduated after 3 years of that, and worked in a huge law firm in Dallas, and then eventually ended up, having my own private practice. I worked for a couple other firms after that. So I have a wide, varied experience in private and public law, including what I've mentioned. And I have 28 years of experience. I've been licensed for 28 years in federal court. And I'm the only one running who has actually, not only am I the only one running that has experience at the county attorney, who, by the way, is retiring and, as you're aware, has endorsed me.
Yeah.
But I'm the only one who's licensed in federal court, where most of the time the county ends up when they're sued. In fact, there's a big lawsuit right now involving the county.
Yeah.
In federal court. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, tell us a little, I mean, I've done a lot of research, but to the people who don't know, tell us a little bit about what the county attorney does differently than, maybe the city attorney, maybe the district attorney. I know a lot of people can make that distinction, but for the ones who don't, sometimes get it confused. What does the office really do, and what's the job really entail?
Okay. Well, great question. The county attorney, first of all, we're not the district attorney. People often get us confused, and I understand that. And, but here in Nueces County, it's very different than perhaps other counties, in that the county attorney has no criminal jurisdiction. That's all with the district attorney. Okay, so I'm not running against Mark Gonzalez. Just first and foremost, be aware. We're actually on the same party, and so we're actually on this running, together, I guess you could say, as fellow Democrats. And you'll find him on the ballot. You'll find me just under him on the ballot. So that's one thing. The second thing is, the main job of the county attorney is to defend the county against all lawsuits, and to advise the county on all legal matters, all department heads, including the commissioner's court and the county judge. And so if somebody dies at the jail, somebody gets beat up at the jail, somebody gets sick unnecessarily at the jail, and I know that's a big issue now with COVID-19.
Yeah.
And they go after, somebody brings a claim, either a family member or the individual themselves, or both. Well, I don't know if he could do both, but anyway, if they bring a claim, then the county has to answer for it. And the main thing is, people need to know, is the county self-insured, okay? Which means there's no insurance for the county to pay. The county has to set aside money. So your taxpayers are at issue, when the county attorney's involved. So it's my job to save the taxpayer as much money as you can. And I have that experience. I've done that in the past when I was chief of litigation for the county. You can ask the present county attorney. I've saved the taxpayers millions of dollars because of my experience. I'm the only one who has the civil experience, which is what this office does. Yeah. And I even tried a case in federal court and won, and got the county successfully off the hook. You know how much we had to pay on that case? $0. But that's the kind of experience I bring.
How much were they trying to get, and then you were able to save that?
We were before Judge Head, who, it's Judge Head. I'm not going to say anything more, but, and then before a jury and everything. And the jury found that, the person bringing the claim was not credible, and the county got off scot-free. And, so that was some of my success. I got other cases dismissed. And of course, the ones that had merit, the ones that had high risk, we settled. We settled. Because we didn't want, you know how it is. You know about the law. Sometimes you just have to.
Yeah, and the facts are not your way. You got to make the best outcome, and we need somebody talented and educated like you with the experience to be able to, make those decisions that are very important and highly risky. And we need somebody that is qualified to do that. I know you're the only candidate, like you said, that has the experience in the office. How do you think that experience prepares you for the main title, and also is giving you a little bit of a jump start, obviously ahead of these other candidates?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm prepared to hit the ground running. I have done pretty much every job there, and not only on the litigation side. And by the way, the county attorney, perhaps you're going to ask me this, but the county attorney handles not only the lawsuits, but we handle all the CPS cases. That is, the removal of abused and neglected children from households. And basically they remove them and to see if the parents can get their act together and become responsible parents. And then termination, if that is as a last resort. And then we also handle all the protective orders to protect all those victims of domestic violence, both women, mostly women, but some men too. Mm-hmm. And we handle all the mental commitments, people who are a danger to themselves and have a serious mental disease that need to be committed in San Antonio State Hospital. We handle those too. And so those are big issues. Those are all big issues here in this town. And of course, police brutality is an issue. So we have to defend not only what happens at the jail, but out on the field. All the sheriff deputies, all the constables, every single one of them, we have to answer for if a claim is made against them.
Yeah, so we spoke a little about the county attorney presently and how she's endorsed you. What are some of the things that you think you'll do that she's done well, and maybe something you'll do differently? It doesn't mean that she did it wrong, but maybe that you'll just do differently, and you're helping you be successful.
Well, I think that what she's done well is Laura understood her role. She completely and thoroughly. She understands she was not a policymaker. She understands that she was an attorney first and foremost, and and I know we're used to seeing these high-profile hotshot attorneys, kind of be in the limelight, but most of the time, it's not good for your attorney to be in the limelight, because you want to take focus away from what the litigation that you're involved in. Keep it under the rug, keep it as hush hush as you can. Now, obviously, in the end, the public has to know, and everything has to be open meeting, open records, and that's another thing we deal with, by the way. We make sure that that the county follows the open records and open meetings of law. But we don't want to we want to make sure we just do our job and do it right and not seek the limelight, because sometimes when you do that, it's the wrong motive. And so I learned that a lot from Laura, and I think that's what she's been very successful. And maybe that's why a lot of people have not heard of her or heard of the position. Sure. What we might do differently, I'm going to review all the policies and procedures from top to bottom. I think the perspective that I bring is good, because even though I've worked in the public sector some, most of it have been private practice. And I think that when you bring somebody from the private sector, with all due respect to public servants, and I admire them tremendously for what they do, sometimes it's good to bring a fresh, outside look. So you're not just part of the system, quote unquote. You're not just, you're not, who questions, well, why are we doing it this way? Why can't we do it that way? And that's good. That's good that, I have that, I know my opponent was a career prosecutor, and I don't want to talk about her really, but I'm from the private sector, and so I think it's good to bring that outside perspective and that fresh perspective, because I want to fine tune things and see what we can do better. Talk to the employees, talk to the department heads. Let's see. I mean, I'm sure they have ideas what we can do better. So that's what I want to focus on.
Yeah, that's where you differ from the the opponent. I mean, you have obviously the fresh eyes to look at this stuff, but you also been experienced in dealing with it. So not only do you have both those things going for you, I think it's only going to be a positive. I know. I guess the question is, I know a lot of the offices that you're going to be, I guess, the attorney for, whether it's the sheriff's office, police agent, all those different things, are they really allowed to endorse, or basically what I'm asking is who has endorsed you, or if you want to speak about any of those endorsements?
Well, the county attorney is not a high-profile office, and so you don't really see the Corpus Christi Police Officers Association getting involved. Those are, I guess, one of the big guns, and you see them get involved in the judicial races, but they don't get involved here because they don't really deal. I mean, they're basically city peace officers. Sure. They don't really deal with the county attorney. I know there's a Sheriff's Officer Association. I've talked to some of I know all the heads of them, and they're supportive of me. But I don't know if they're going to make a formal endorsement of that. And the firefighters, I've talked to them too, and they're not looking to get involved in any county races. But I've got the most important endorsement, and really the only one I feel that matters, and that's of Laura Jimenez, the present county attorney. That one who's been the county attorney for 20 years, been very successful, has never had lost an election, because most of the time people did not dare run against her because of the job she was doing. Yeah. And she's basically looked at everybody running and said, "You're the man." And she knows my work because I work for her, and she wants, she cares about her legacy. She cares about that office. So to me, I'm honored and privileged. And if you know anything about Laura, she does not stick her neck out lightly. It's not in her nature to go out and endorse people. But she thought it was important enough that people know that I'm the man for the job, and so she has stepped up, and I really do appreciate that.
Well, let's talk about some of the stuff. I mean, obviously the job is so intricate, so detailed, so many different things you got to deal with. That's going to be a challenge in itself, but I know you're qualified for it. But how's it working with the sheriff's office, handling those deaths issues, beatings, COVID-19? How is it going to be that tough aspect part of the job? How are you going to be able to handle it and deal with it, and maybe make some changes, or I don't know if that's the right word, but just handle it in general. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, especially when you're dealing with people's lives and certain different things like that. I mean, we can always get into the legal aspect of it, but just the actual aspect of it, dealing with it is tough.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. You know, being a county attorney is like any other attorney, right? You can only do so much, okay? And I think being a county attorney is even more difficult than advising private individuals, because you have to understand at the county, and pretty much everybody who we give advice, pretty much almost everybody,
Sure.
are independently elected officials, okay? And that is unique to Texas, I think, is that at the county level, most department heads are independently elected. The sheriff is independently elected. The commissioners, court, each one of them is independently elected. The county judge is independently elected. The district attorney is independently elected. By the way, we represent all the assistant district attorneys except the DA himself, who's actually considered a state official. We,
Sure.
we represent we can represent every single employee, or we can, on the other side, if they get terminated and they think it's wrongfully, then we have to represent the county. But the issue is when you're independently elected, you have a little bit more freedom. You think, well, I have to answer to this. So we can only advise, our job is to give the right advice, right? To say, this is how we can avoid liability. This is this is the policies and procedures you should have. Okay. And not only that, and I think what you see a lot, because I've done plaintiff work, and I've done defense work on the civil side too. Plaintiff and plaintiff being the people bring the lawsuit, for people who don't know, and defense, obviously defending the lawsuit. I've done it from both ends, and I've actually done like employment and I think that what's important is not only that you have the policies and procedures, but that you practice them, that you put them into application. Because you can have all the policies and procedures that you want, but if you're not actually practicing them, guess what? They ain't worth the paper they're written on. So you got to practice them, and you got to make sure. So, I mean, the only thing we can do is tell them, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to be doing. So if we get sued, we can say, we're doing it this way. We're following the procedures. We have done nothing wrong, because we've been following the law. We've been following the proper procedures to avoid that. But it's only when you get out of that, those procedures, that's when you find that the county has to open up its wallet, and therefore the taxpayers have to open up their wallet. And so that's what we try to avoid.
That's the thing that's so interesting about your career. You've had such an extensive career on both sides, and it's so interesting to talk to somebody who's has majorly experience for the actual thing they're running for. I talked to a lot of guys that it's the first time they're going for something different, but they're qualified in the sense of having highly educations, but no way of what you've done, where you've been literally involved on both sides. And I think people need to realize that, because experience really does matter if you want a good job and somebody to step in and not have to learn on the job, which I think is like a major issue that we run into. In preparation for the podcast, I always put on Twitter, and I take a couple questions. Sometimes they might not even go to your office, but we always want to answer them for them so they can kind of get it. I know maybe you can't control stuff like this, but Jackie wanted to know, what will you do or try to do to keep mentally ill men and women out of jails, or maybe any programs that we can maybe push through? I know you can work with the county judge or maybe things of that nature, but especially the veterans is what she wants to focus on, because it's, they've done so much for the country, and, now they're having to, deal with some issues that they're not any of their fault. And maybe they make a decision that they can't control, and now they find themselves in a horrible place. What are some of the things that we can do to combat that?
Well, that's a great question. We do deal with mental health issues as far as people being a danger to themselves or to the others. They try to commit suicide, or if they're violent or potentially violent against somebody because of a mental condition, a serious mental condition. But and I think when it comes to the veterans and on the issue of keeping the mentally ill out of jail, I think that follows more along with the district attorney, because that's what he does is he puts people in jail, and he tries to do justice. I do know, because I've done criminal defense, and I'm a former president of the criminal defense section of the Corpus Christi Bar Association. Sure. And so I've done enough criminal defense to know that there is a veterans court. It's a very good court that all veterans need to take advantage of. And if you qualify, you can actually, take care of whatever you have, so you don't have up in jail. And in fact, you can get your case dismissed. Of course, it involves mental health treatment, and you have to have basically you have to have some kind of PTSD related to your service. But I think it's a very good court that, hopefully all veterans are taking advantage of.
Definitely.
But go ahead. And as far as non-veterans, that's a much more difficult issue. I have seen a lot of people with mental health issues end up in jail when maybe they should be in some kind of, mental health treatment. Unfortunately, with the county attorney only deals with the extreme cases, the people, like I said, who are endangered themselves and others. You might see somebody in the street, talking to themselves and obviously not being mentally, shall we say, competent. But that doesn't mean they're a danger to themselves or to others. Unless they're walking in the middle of the street and getting in front of cars,
Sure.
There's not that much a county attorney can do about it. And also it takes somebody to complain, usually a family member or a healthcare provider, about, the fact they're a danger. So, I know the county judge, and I admire her greatly. She's tremendous. I know, and we can talk about that, but, I don't want to talk about, maybe she's done some things that people don't like, but, that's what a good leader does. But in any case, I know that one thing that she wants to focus on, because the hospital district, which, by the way, that's another area which we advise if we don't have enough to do. We advise the hospital district, which is in charge of all the indigent healthcare in town. That is, the people who can't afford healthcare. Has oversees Memorial, and Memorial is now, of course, being run by Spawn Memorial, Spawn Hospital, the Spawn Health System.
Sure.
Which, by the way, does not do mental health treatment. But the only place we have it is at right now is at Triage and Memorial. Okay, so we still don't have an answer from Spawn. And I've been involved in this issue since they first announced that Memorial was going to be torn down. I know you're new to town; you're probably not familiar with the controversy there. But basically, you have a private sector saying, "Okay, we have the only public facility we have. We're going to tear it down, and we're going to build our own. But we're still going to take care of the county."
Sure.
And I was opposed to that, but that's water under the bridge. There's probably nothing I can do about that. I tried to do something at that point, but we, unfortunately, we weren't successful. But there's still questions, and I know I've attended the hospital district meetings, and they still, since then, we have not had answers from Spawn as to what they're going to do about their mental health situation. It's something that people need to pay attention to. I don't think the media has paid enough attention to it, and because we're not getting any answers about that. And as long as we don't get any answers, I think, the health system here, the mental health system, is going to get worse. I know that the county judge has talked about, some private industry maybe taking over Memorial or parts of Memorial or the property. I'm not sure of all the details. I think it was called Metals, is the name of the organization, about taking care of mental health treatment, because she wants to address that issue. And but yeah, it's a big concern. But unfortunately, there's only so much I can do as a county attorney. But I certainly I'm going to help the judge from a legal perspective do whatever needs to be done to take care of that situation.
Sure. Going back to hard decisions and public service just in general, I always look up to y'all for, having to deal with making those tough decisions and dealing with people on either side of it. And it takes a special person to be able to do that. And, to go out there and make those tough decisions and do the job that it's, the good work that people need to do. And, so people just need to be a little bit more supportive of it. It's a hard job, what y'all do. And I respect it completely. Taking another question over from the Twitter. So you kind of went into it earlier, but they wanted to kind of know, I guess, to word it differently. What are some of the claims? I know a lot of it's to do with jail, police brutality maybe, but what are some of the claims we didn't talk about that maybe the city deals with? I know a lot of them might not hold a lot of water, but we still got to address them, their claim. But the ones that do, that maybe we didn't speak about, what are some of those?
Okay, just to clarify, I represent the county, not the city.
County, sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, like I kind of briefly mentioned, one of the big part, besides, what we call civil rights claim, which are jail issues and law enforcement issues, is the employees suing for what they believe were wrongful termination. And that, by the way, is extremely complicated. If you don't know that area of law, you're in trouble, okay? It involves the EOC. The EOC has their own administrative procedures, which you must follow, okay? If you don't follow them, guess what? You committed malpractice. Now, and also the county has its own civil service board. Now, many people don't know about this, okay? Mm-hmm. The county employees, okay, the regular employees, the non-lawyers, mostly, staff, I'm not sure how many professionals it covers. It may not cover all the professionals, but your regular employees, your staff, your secretaries,
Sure.
90% of the county is under a civil service system. And what that means is they have their own policies and procedures that have to be followed. Okay. And there's, if you feel you've been wrong there, then there's a procedure. And in fact, the employees have to follow that procedure if before they can even bring a lawsuit. Okay. And it goes to something called the Civil Service Commission. There's actually hearings before there where the issues of whether the county was wrongful or not are determined. And I've actually tried those cases, even though it wasn't my area, because it's considered administrative. Basically, they said, you do it because you're more adept at that kind of advocacy. And I won. So that's just one of the main. That's just one. Employment is very complicated issues. But I'm familiar with them because I worked for a firm that specialized in that in private practice. When I worked for a law firm, that's another big one. Any other claims that vehicles, county vehicles, those may be insured. Those themselves, I think that's the only thing that I think is insured is the vehicles by a regular insurance carrier. We get a lot of claims about potholes. I hit a pothole on the county road. Or I got one of your vehicles passing by, my window got chipped. That kind of thing.
I have a few claims for myself on that.
What's that?
I said I have a few claims for myself on that. I hit a couple potholes, but now I'm just playing. But no, I got you. Definitely.
Yeah. And then of course any other thing that they feel like they could bring a claim against an employee for negligence. Again, that's complicated because you have to follow. You may be familiar with this, or maybe not. The Texas Tort Claims Act.
Sure.
When you bring a suit against the county government, and you got to make sure that whoever brings a suit follows the procedures. Otherwise, you can get the case dismissed, and so there's all kinds of representing a public entity is not like representing a private individual. You have to know the law, and you have to know all the pitfalls.
It's tougher because it's one person. You're dealing with the whole county, everybody in that county. If there was anything you'd like to add or tell the voters that maybe they don't know about you, we went pretty good involved with it and going with your experience, which I think people need to realize, which is the key. But maybe something that they don't know about the office or don't know about you that maybe we didn't speak about that maybe you want to finish some final thoughts with, and maybe finish out with your website one more time so they can get some more information from that.
Before I forget, let me put that up here. Let's see, can I put that up here? Maybe not. Let's see, magic. Maybe my virtual background is killing it. Maybe if I kill the virtual background.
Yeah, if you kill the virtual background, it'll show up.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Definitely. Rene.
That's my website. ReneForNCA.org. It's a great website. I must say so myself. Maybe not technically great, but because I did it myself for the most part. So I'm not an IT person. But information-wise, it's got everything about me, my background, my involvement in the community. But also it has a lot of great information about voting in general. And we haven't talked about that. I could go on and on about that, about the election. But it's got a frequently asked questions section. It's got a bunch of links where you can register to vote, where you can, find out if you're registered, where you can vote, all that. The early voting, the county's already put up its early voting locations. Let me see if I can put this up.
Yeah, we got like an extra week because of the governor, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like this, and it's on my website.
Sure.
And it's important. But the main thing people should know, okay, that if you care, okay, first of all, if you care about saving your taxpayer dollars, and if you care about competent county government, then you will vote for me. It's an easy choice. And I'm sorry, it is an easy choice. I mean, I'm the only one with the experience. I'm the only one who saved millions of dollars for the taxpayers in the past because the county's self-insured. So if you care about these things, and who wouldn't, right? Definitely. You vote for me. I mean, and so, maybe I sound a little cocky saying that, but it's just the truth. And it's why Laura Jimenez, the President County Attorney, is endorsing me. Definitely. Now, the other thing too, I just want to get across is voting, because we haven't talked that much about it and the importance of it. Okay, a few things I want to get across. Besides the early voting, check out that flyer or that information the county's put out. There's 24 early voting locations. Early voting starts October 13th. 18 of them are new, by the way. So look at them. Make a voting plan. Okay, make a voting plan so that you'll pick out a location and say, I'm going to try to vote early on this date, maybe on that date, near you or near your work. And there's a lot of new places that you can early vote. I'll briefly mention some: the Corpus Christi Army Depot, American Bank Center. There's no more Greenwood Senior Citizen Center, which is a big one on the west side, but there is the Ben F. McDonald Library, and people got to realize what the heck is the Ben F. McDonald Library? What's the Greenwood Library? It's right next door. Okay, so be aware of that. Wistoso Junior High is a big one. I'm from Molina, and in fact, I still live in Molina. I moved back to Molina. Very proud of that. And the first time in Molina, we've had a early voting site in I'm gonna say 20, 30 years. I don't know. So check it out. I know deaf and hard of hearing is a popular place, but it's not ideal. I'll put it that way, because very limited parking, overcrowded, and people get discouraged when they go there. So check out other places where you can vote. Now, the other thing too is if you're not registered, you got to register by October 5th. Like I said, go on my website. If you're not registered, if you're not sure you're registered, go ahead and register. It doesn't hurt to re-register, okay? And then also, there's no more straight ticket voting, okay? So you can't just go in there and say, vote straight Democrat, vote straight Republican. You used to be able to do that. We in South Texas call it la palanca. You can't do the palanca anymore. You can't pull the palanca. You can't pull that lever for a straight ticket. Now you have to go down ballot and pick out the candidates you want. And if you want to run for all Democrats, well, then you can do that. Look for the Ds, okay? But otherwise, just pick out the best candidate, and that would be me in the county attorney race. But go down ballot, please, okay? I know the presidential election is hot and getting hotter by the minute. I mean, it just seems like every day there's something comes out, and that's what people most care about, and that's great. I'm glad you come out to the polls for that, but don't just vote for the president. You got to go down the line, okay? Because all those races are important, down to the city council races, go down ballot, please. And that's what I want to try to get across right now. So I do appreciate it. If you're 65 or over, if you qualify, get that mail-in ballot. Get that mail-in ballot. And if you don't know where to get it, call Kara Sands, the county clerk. Speak to anybody there at 361-888-0865. Okay, let me see if I can put it up here. Dang it. Maybe I'll cut let me cut the background.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, now we can see it.
You can see it?
No, I can't see it, but if you put it right in front of the screen, I think maybe we're missing a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
A little bit more. There we go.
It's kind of far away. It's kind of far away, so. It's my iPad. The angle of the camera. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's the number. Okay.
361-888-0865. Kara Sands, we got it.
Yeah. Call that number if you want to request a mail-in ballot or information. There's also on my website, I should say, go to, here we go, reneformca.org. Go there. There's a link where you can request a mail-in ballot. So it's an awesome website because of that. And that there's no excuse for you to vote this time.
Yeah. Well, the county attorney is always an important office, definitely, but I think the county has a great opportunity now because we've had a great county attorney for the longest time, and now we have a chance to make sure that continues to be great and a great office to keep going, especially with someone as experienced and as well versed as you are in all different aspects. I mean, it's crazy how much y'all have to be so knowledgeable in so many different areas of law, and you have that experience, which a lot of people can't say, especially on the other side. So I think it's important that people get that done, and I think you said that very eloquently, and we're able to get that across. But we just want to thank you so much for being on Candid today, and we're super thankful. We'll post everything on the different social medias, the websites you told us, the early voting especially, and make sure that people get out and vote because that's the most important thing. So we appreciate you.
Yes. Yeah, and let me go ahead and make an open invitation. I'm having a
I was gonna ask you. Yeah.
Birthday party / fundraiser, and I don't think I have a flyer printout. But it's tomorrow at 5:30 at the Post, and I'm trying to see if I can pull it up on my phone real quick. Do I have time real quick to pull it up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so let me see if I can pull it up here. It's at the Post.
Sites.
It's at the Post. let's see. Well, there it is. It's at the post. Okay, that's a post.
Sure.
So it's at the post, and I'll try to zoom in there. September 23rd. That's my birthday. 5:30 at the Lamar, the post at Lamar, Doddridge and Alameda. 5:30 to 7:30. Come on out. We will. We'll have some goodies there for you, and you can register to vote there too. We'll have a voter registrar, and it should be a good time. And you can meet me, and please do not be shy. Come up and meet me. If I haven't met you, I may not shake your hand because of COVID. And by the way, masks will be required. Social distancing will be enforced. Are we going to do that? Well, they're going to have tables, that are going to try to, get people to social distance. But we'll have food on the tables. We'll have other stuff, adult beverages, if you know what I mean. And so, but do not be shy about coming up to me. Like I said, I may not shake your hand because it's not COVID friendly, but I will bump elbows or bump knuckles or whatever. I'm kind of an elbow guy, but whatever. I will talk to you. I will make sure I give you the attention and thank you for your support. And if you want to sign for me, because I get asked for signs all the time. I had a woman stop me the other day, going on her way to work, going on her way to, she worked at I think she's a CNA at a nursing home, saw me fixing a sign and said, can I get a sign for Rene Flores? I said, well, I'm Rene Flores. And she said, oh, can you give me a sign? She was on her way to work, and I should have taken a picture with her. And I said, oh, I was so flattered that she would just do that out of the blue. But yeah, I'm getting that a lot. People putting up signs everywhere. Anyway, but if you want a sign, you can get one there. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm a fun guy. I'm approachable, even though, I did all these things and, I've done all these things. I'm really down to earth. And my parents taught me that, never forget where you came from. And that's the way I am.
Well, I don't think no better gift could be than a W in November. So we hope that we get that done for you. And we're really appreciative, like we said, to have you on, and thankful for the information and highly thankful for the information. I think a lot of people need to realize how important this job is and how important this election is. So I think you were able to do that. So thank you so much. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the weather. It's different, than the heat that we're always getting.
Oh, yeah. Let's enjoy it while we can, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ryan. You too. Bye.